Hello, hello, Moonbeams. Welcome to the Mystic Moon School with Donna Cass. I am here jumping on live to talk to you today about the Scorpio full moon. And this is a gorgeous full moon, beautiful. We have so much beautiful support for this full moon. I'm going to talk about that. And I want to talk about Scorpio though first, because a lot of people are like, unless they have, prominent Scorpio in their chart, then a lot of people are like, they're a little apprehensive or maybe even afraid of Scorpio, which actually is Scorpio energy, which is kind of ironic. But so yeah, let's talk about Scorpio for just a minute or two, and then we're going to get into the actual aspects that are happening with this full moon today and what this may mean for you. Okay, so Scorpio. So if you've worked with me or been on my channel at all, you know that I when I teach the signs, there's no good or bad. Every sign, every planet has its beautiful, what I call illuminations. That's when you're in your highest vibration, and you're really like embodying your best self, and however that pertains to the sign, those qualities, those personality traits, etc. And then you have your shadow aspects. Shadow is not bad. Scorpio knows that better than anyone. Scorpio rising. So shadow is not bad. Shadow is the stuff that motivates us from the deep, that we are typically unconscious about. Shadow is the stuff that wants so desperately to be seen and integrated and, embraced. That's the word I was searching for. Embraced so that we can become whole, so that we can be aware of those motivations that stem from a wounding, right? When we were young, when we experienced trauma. And so this whole life, though, is about, if we chose at a soul level, I should say, is about unearthing, going deep and unearthing those hidden unconscious fears, wounding, traumas, those limiting beliefs that are stemmed from experiences and fear, always fear, insecurity, not feeling good enough, not knowing your own worth and your own value. All of this stuff ruminates and lives and germinates in the shadow. And so Scorpio energy in particular is very, maybe more so than some of the other signs, definitely. Scorpio, think of the scorpion living in the little deep dark cave, right? Scorpio is okay in the shadow. In fact, Scorpio in her lower expressions will just stay there. She'll just hide out in her shadow aspects. And what that really means in like an actual experience for us is that you live your life in a lot of fear. You have a lot of fears. Your fears dictate your experience on the day to day. Your fears prevent you from experiencing life. You may even be very like consciously aware of what your fears are. Like, I'm afraid to travel over bridges. Okay. But where does that come from? That's when Scorpio moves from her shadow aspects into healing. into transformation, into the phoenix, where she burns down the fears and emerges anew as the firebird, that transformation. Then she starts to become empowered. And so Scorpio is the sign where has been described, and I forget the original astrologer who came up with this theory of Scorpio. If anyone knows, please, if you could link it in the comments or write it in the comments, that would be so helpful. But I want to say it's definitely a modern astrologer, and he, I want to say, was maybe in the 50s, 60s, came up with this theory of Scorpio, where you are the scorpion when you're in your shadow aspect, when you're in your fear and your limiting beliefs. And it's kind of all unconsciously motivated. And then once you start to become aware of this and your self-awareness is growing, and you reach a wall, you reach a tolerance point where you're like, you know what, I'm done living like this. I don't want to live in this small little dark cave anymore of my own creation, right? And ultimately it is our own creation, because until, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a job, a relationship, just a mindset, right? Whatever it is, it is your own creation. It is my own creation for my life, because we get to choose what we live, what we participate in. And so when we reach that point where we're done being the scorpion, hiding out and living in the deep, dark cave of our fears and our limiting beliefs and our insecurities, when we're done with that, when we reach that tipping point where we're like, you know what, I don't want to live like this anymore, something's got to give, right? Then that's the precipice. That's where we start to transform, and we begin to move out of the scorpion energy and into the phoenix energy. And we are ready to burn down that scaffolding that has been keeping us, hidden, that has been keeping us confined. And then the phoenix process, it is a process, right? It's not like, oh, I burn down everything and then I just emerge anew in like an instant or a moment. I mean, certainly there are things in our life where we can burn down in a moment, right? When I told my now ex-husband, I don't want to be married anymore, I set the flame, right? I lit the match. And then that began a whole process of my unfolding, of my transformation, and my awakening. And so, yes, it can happen in a moment, but then becoming the firebird, the phoenix, is a process. And once we get to a certain point in that phoenix process, this is all Scorpio energy, we start to get glimpses as we're awakening, as we're transforming and we're awakening. And when I say awakening, what I mean very specifically is we are expanding our consciousness. We are seeing things from a higher perspective. That's when we start to tap into the eagle energy of Scorpio. So the three iterations of Scorpio are the scorpion, the phoenix, the eagle. And so when we are in that, and also I'd like to add another kind of perspective that I have about this. Although, yes, you can strike that match and burn down those limiting fears and that scaffolding that is your life, right? That's keeping you confined. Yes, you can burn it down in a moment and step into that phoenix energy. However, in my experience, in my client's experience, it doesn't mean you're 100% done with the scorpion, with the fears, with the shadow aspects. It means that you're done with living your life in that way, but it doesn't mean that you're just done with fears and limiting beliefs forever now. That's not how our psyche works, right? That's not how life works. And so, even if you can now dispel and release certain limiting beliefs and end certain structures in your own life that have been keeping you confined, doesn't mean as you are emerging into that beautiful firebird, that phoenix, and you're burning the shit down, that you're not, that fears are not going to come up. Of course they are. We're human. And that's okay. The difference is this: the fears are no longer keeping you stuck, confined, and they're no longer ruling you. The difference is that you recognize the fear and you do it anyway. That's the phoenix energy. Okay, leaving the Scorpio energy behind, the Scorpion energy, sorry. This is all Scorpio energy. And so, similarly, when we are really embodying that Phoenix Firebird energy where we are blazing through new, transformative sense of self, we get glimpses of the eagle energy of Scorpio. And what do I mean by that? Something happens in your life, let's say relationally. You know, an old player in your life, someone who's always been there, they've always operated this certain way with you, there's certain dynamic, all of this. When you get a glimpse of the eagle energy and you start to embody that, what that means is, what that looks like is you see that person differently for the first time. You understand their motivations, what's driving them to behave in this way. You have a higher perspective that it's not about you. It's about their own wounding. It's about their own fears, insecurities, shadows. It's about their own experience and what they're projecting onto you or the relationship or the situation. And what comes with this eagle perspective is compassion, because the eagle represents the divine, being able to see everything from that eagle's eye view, because you are no longer entangled in it. You are flying and soaring above it. And so you are able to now access compassion, understanding. Now, does that mean that you just put up with the shit? Absolutely not. We can still have boundaries. In fact, maybe this is the first time you can actually access within yourself both having compassion for the individual who is causing the difficult or challenging energy. And it could be a person, it can be your job, you're a boss, a situation that you're in. It could be your own mind, the thoughts, right? And you're all of a sudden having an eagle's eye view of where that fear came from. And you can have compassion for your younger self and what she or he went through, why you developed that fear, that limiting belief. And so you can have compassion first and foremost and say, you know what? I wish you didn't have to go through that. I'll use my own example again. Even as I was going through a mediation with my now ex-husband, my husband at the time, um, I mean, I lived in the house for 9 months with him, separate bedrooms, but we have 2 kids. And I was able to really truly embody that phoenix and very much the eagle energy at that time, because I was no longer attached to his behavior. I was no longer affected by his behavior, his choices, none of that. I was able to really access this higher perspective of why I endured the things that I did, why we chose each other, right? I was able to access very deep compassion for what I knew to be real pain, emotional pain, and trauma in his own life. And so I was able to have compassion for him. However, for the first time, I was able to also have very strong boundaries about one, what I was what I was willing to engage in. I had boundaries. Remember, boundaries are for you first and foremost, okay? Not necessarily the other person or situation. It's what you're going to show up, what you're going to give or not give, right? What's the line for you? If you look at boundaries in that way, it's very empowering because we only have control over ourselves, right? We don't have control over anything else, anyone else. So you're able, when you're in that high vibing Scorpio energy, you're able to access, yes, I'm done with this. I'm empowered. I feel fired up. But also, I have that higher perspective of why this is all unfolding the way it is. Why did I choose this at a soul level? That is a Scorpio question when you are able to access that eagle energy. And so you can have compassion for the person or the situation and even yourself. And you can also have the boundaries. And this is the healthiest expression, the most empowered expression. When I say healthy, what I mean is healed, right? Where you're in an energy where you're like, you know what, I am not shunning my scorpion or my shadow aspects. I embrace all of it because this is how I got to where I am right now today. So it's the healed, it's the integrated. I like that word, integrated, because there's less judgment on healed versus wounded, right? So this is all the Scorpio energy that is on tap, that is available for us at this full moon. Now, full moon, Mama Moon has reached her fullness. She has completed something. She's done. So if you apply that to the Scorpio energy that I've just been talking about, what fears are you done with? What limiting beliefs are you done with? What situations and or relationships that kind of embody all of that, keeping you stuck, keeping you small, keeping you insecure, keeping you fearful? What are you done with? I will share something else with you about my journey and how this is applicable to me, because Scorpio is my rising sign, my first house, right? So it's about me, my identity, how I see myself, how others perceive me, certainly. But I had a lot of fears very recently because I'm about to embark in the next several months, 6 months, into a new phase of my life, being more of an empty nester. And this is bringing up a lot of fears for me, right? Of course. Understandable. Anyone out there relating to this part of life, I'm sure you would agree. It's a transition. If we just generalize, if we zoom out and just generalize and we don't get caught in the stories of this, it's a transition. And transitions can be scary. They can be, especially for Scorpio rising or anyone with prominent Scorpio, that's a fixed water sign. That is fixed emotions. We want everything to be emotionally in its place. Don't change. Let's keep it where it is. This is where I'm happy. This is where I feel good. So transitions are particularly tough for me. Less so because, oh, hi, Lily. Lily just popped in. Where is she? You come. You want to say hi? You want to say hi to everybody? My baby girl. Isn't she the babiest? Isn't she the most gorgeous girl? Okay, you want to go? Huh? Okay. So, sorry, I just can't resist when she comes around. So in general, for anyone who has fixed energy in their chart, prominent fixed energy, changes are not really our friend. We don't really enjoy that too much. As opposed to, like, let's say the mutable signs, right? We're much better with change. So, but anyway, transition. So a lot of fears have been coming up for me. And finally, so this week, leading up to this Scorpio full moon, both of my daughters went away on a vacation together. So I have been alone since Monday in my house, except for with my kitty cats. And this was the most beautiful opportunity for me to get a taste, just a taste, right, of being on my own completely. Just me and the cats, just me and my house and my garden and my art and myself. Myself, first house, right? Being on my own. Scorpio rising. So this week has been so healing for me because the fears have really been creeping up about being alone. And this week gave me the opportunity to see, to experience in real time. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be good. I saw friends this week for dinner. I saw my sister. I rearranged my art room. I decluttered. I made art. I dug in the garden. I tended to my garden more. Of course, that's, an end of April thing. But she's being crazy. What are you doing? Right? So, and I did all the things. And it's not to say that I didn't miss my girls. I did, but I really embraced being alone and on my own. And so while that is different than being full-time empty nester, I know, look at her. She's a wackadoodle-doo. What are you doing? This week gave me a taste of it, an opportunity to experience being on my own for a week in my home and what that feels like. And it just gave me an opportunity to dispel a lot of those fears and to release them and let them go and reframe this thinking. So, where is Scorpio in your chart? What house is it in? Because that's the area of life where this energy is really been showing up for you this week, most likely. If you've been aware, if you are self-aware, if you know when fears come to front of mind for you and you're able to, kind of sit with them a little bit and think about them, that's most likely the area of life in your chart, the house where this Scorpio full moon is showing up for you. So if you want to dive deeper into this with me, definitely hop on over to my website, mysticmoonschool.com. I have chart readings. I have moon journeys that I've created. And you can just send me an email and we can figure it out together, how you want to work with me, with your chart, with the moon. And yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful journey. Now, I just want to talk about a couple things about why this Scorpio full moon today is beautiful and supported for all of us. Jupiter, let me just look at the chart again, but Jupiter is trining. Okay, so Jupiter is in Cancer. Now, this is still about, like, it's not exact degree, okay, but it's close enough. And Jupiter, Big Daddy Jupiter, is the great benefic, right? Jupiter expands everything, brings the good fortune and the good luck and the optimism, and just beams that joy. Like, if there was a song that went with Jupiter, it would be that song by Farrell. What is that? Pharrell, what is that song? Oh my God, please, if you know what I'm talking about, it's the happy song. I can't think of it. If you know it and you could put it in the comments, that will get it off my brain. But oh, it's going to drive me crazy now. But anyway, Jupiter is beaming in a trine, which is the most easy flowing supportive energy to the moon in Scorpio. So the Cancer energy, beaming from Jupiter. Remember, this is emotional. The water signs are emotional. So we have Jupiter in Cancer, the moon in Scorpio, and the beautiful North Node in Pisces is sextiling the moon. And so this is beautiful, supportive, optimistic, easy, harmonious. That's the word, harmonious energy. So if the fears around anything in your life within you have been coming up this week, it's here for you to let it go. Reframe it. Know, trust in something bigger than yourself. North Node in Pisces. You are supported by the universe, by your angels, your guides, your loved ones, your well ancestors, and your higher self, that your path ahead, North Node in Pisces, is supporting this Scorpio full moon. So whatever fears, if at all, have been coming up for you, it's so that you can let them go. Let that shit go, right? And so emerge as the phoenix. Burn down those freaking fears. Fear is a liar. That's what I always tell my clients. What does fear stand for? False evidence appearing real. Feels real. When those fears are freaking inflamed, it feels real. And it feels so heavy and burdensome. Let that shit go. Burn it down. Scorpio is a water sign. You may want to do a water ritual today where you write your fears on little pieces of paper and flush them down the toilet, or maybe not down the toilet, unless you're going to write them on a tissue, right? Or toilet paper. You can put them in a bowl of water and let them just kind of dissipate over the day, and then pour them out into your yard. They will compost. Or if you want to tap into the fire energy of the phoenix that Scorpio is, you can do a fire ritual, always safely, right? Always safe, safe, safe with the fire. Write your fears down and burn them in a fire safe container, a fire pit, something like that, right? And let that shit go. Life's too short. Fear is a liar. Emerge into your phoenix empowered self, and know that the North Node is supporting this. What is the North Node? It is I always call the North Node the yellow brick road, right? It is your golden path ahead in this life. It is golden because it's your destined path. And it's always leading you back home to yourself, the North Node, your true authentic self, the self that is unencumbered by fear and shadow. So the North Node in Pisces, that higher perspective of Pisces, that oneness with all that is, that divine knowing, that divine love is always supporting you, in this Scorpio full moon. So please let me know in the comments, where is this Scorpio full moon showing up in your chart? What area of life is this impacting you? How have you been working with it? I would love to hear your comments, what you've been going through, what you've been aware of, and what you're ready to let go of now. It is only going to get more beautiful and better from here. I will be back in 2 weeks when we have the new moon in Taurus, where we're kind of wrapping up Taurus season. The moons are on like a flip right now, which is a whole thing. Maybe I'll do a video on that to explain why that happens. But we are going to have that new moon in Taurus, which is the sister sign to Scorpio. And so I'll be back here in a couple of weeks to talk to you about that and see where that new moon will be showing up in your chart. Maybe you can share with me. And that's it for now. Thank you so much for being here, for commenting, for subscribing if this resonated for you. And I'm wishing you a beautiful, empowered Scorpio full moon. I love you all so much. Mwah, mwah. See you soon under the moon. Bye bye for now.